Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy last day of August. Woohoo! And as I looked at the 10-day forecast, it looks like for Vegas after this weekend, I think we're out of the 100-degree heat. I think it's double digits from this point on, which, as you know and understand, if you know me and you understand the broiling hell that I exist in right now, that's good news. Starting to walk around all the department stores, the Home Depots, the Walmarts, and starting to see all that Halloween stuff. Starting to smell that cinnamon smell that lets me know that better weather in football season is on the way. I am your host, William. Obviously, I really don't introduce myself that much. That's kind of obvious. One of a kind, I guess. Um, was originally just going to do a real quick Midnight Express tonight Q&A, but I was listening to the Film Junkie earlier this evening, who I stole this topic from, by the way, with his permission. And it just started a conversation in my head that I wanted to have with you guys about, is the DC brand permanently damaged? My quick answer, and I actually had a chance to think about this for quite some time now, and my answer is going to be no. There's a difference between having significant and long-term damage and having permanent damage. Right now, DC, and we're speaking primarily with DC Studios right now. I mean, we can have an entirely different, uninformed conversation on the comic book realm on another night, but I'm talking about the majority of the conversation that DC is driven through right now through the general public is going to be its cinematic universe. And my answer to that question is no. Is there long-term damage done to the DC brand? Yes. Is there a trust factor involved in what's going on with DC? Yes. Has the retail consumer trust relationship between the customer, the buyer, and the seller been broken? Absolutely. But is it permanently damaged? No. I don't think it's going to be repaired anytime soon. But I would not. I would not. I would not call it permanently damaged. I think DC missed the algorithm of audience interest on irrational crave, nerd culture, and hero content. Nah, not really. I don't think you can compare it to Star Wars, because Star Wars. See, the thing about Star Wars is people are pretty much full of shit when it comes to Star Wars, as far as how they approach it and how they complain it, because all those movies that were supposed to be the worst thing since the plague drew money. Now their shows are a different thing, but Star Wars is driven cinematically, not by TV shows. TV shows are great, but when it comes to DC, you see the effects. It's not just the whining; it's a financial hit that they take. How you doing, Daniel? And a lot of the damage in my here's where I come off of this. A lot of the damage that DC incurs is self-inflicted, but it's also because they don't control their narrative. It's almost like sometimes they let punditry and the wrong side of fandom determine what their next steps are going to be. You have to understand who your fan is. You have to understand who not to listen to. I don't care if they have 10 million followers or 253 followers. They're just somebody sitting behind a keyboard, behind a screen, in the safety of their own home or office for the most part. It's not their job to connect to the fans. It's your job as a creator, as DC, to connect to the fans. So sometimes you just got to stop listening to people. You got to start listening to, the pundits and the trades when they whine and shit and moan. Because when the question is whose careers are on the line on any of this? It's not theirs. This all started, obviously, back in 2013. and has lasted up until now. The damage that is done has, listen, continuity is everything. Anybody who tells you that continuity does not lead directly to cash has never made anything has never had to depend on that continuity, you know, to earn money. There's just no way. There's a reason why these things are put together. There's a reason why you have sequels. There's a reason why we got, Lord knows why, 10 Fast, in the Furious movies. There's a reason why you had 23 movies that were connected with the Infinity, saga. Continuity and credibility is what you have, and they just haven't had that. You had that period from 2013 to 2017. To be honest with you, for all the belly aching, for all the whining, a lot of them were people who were never going to go see the movie to begin with, all the way up to BBS. None of the people who were squawking really at that point played a real relevant role in the game. And as a matter of fact, they were detrimental. They were unqualified voices in regards to as far as where a franchise would go. Everybody can have their opinion, but they were unqualified voices that were being heard by bad and unqualified management. So there's a marriage made in hell right there. You actually have people out there that will tell you that because Batman vs. Superman had a 70% drop, that the totality of $871 million shouldn't have overrode that. When we are sitting now in 2023, August 31st, there were people who would give both of their balls to have those numbers. And that brings me back to this. In order to assess damage, whether it's permanent or otherwise, you got to know what a win and what a loss is. And that's how we got here. We had dummies that didn't know what a win was and pulled losses out of wins. Found a way to pull a loss out of a $678 million Superman movie when the previous Superman movie, that entire storyline was shit canned because I don't even think it broke 400 million. So here we have a win, and we found a way to pull a loss out of that. Your very next movie makes almost 130 million more, and we found a way to pull a loss out of that because we were listening to the wrong people. So permanently damaged? No, but you have to realize it's been 9 years of gut punches. 5 of them have been really bad. Let's just stick with the last 5 years to really give you the scope of what kind of damage has been done. Because to be honest with you, if you could have just tuned out the diaper shitters from 2013 to 2017 and kept your course, you would have been fine. You would have been done with this. So the damage wasn't really done by the actual quality of the movies between 2013. The damage was done from 2016 on, 2016 with Justice League, all this stuff. Because if you look at financially where the damage began, it began with Justice League. And it continued. And you can say, well, Aquaman and Wonder Woman were successful, and those weren't. Bullshit. Jason Momoa was casted by Zack Snyder. It got his major exposure in that character in a, albeit butchered, version of a Zack Snyder movie, a movie that would not have existed for the previous movies that had come before it. Wonder Woman was casted. I remember him catching complete hell about, she doesn't look like Wonder Woman. She's too skinny. She's too this. Same thing about Jason Momoa. This isn't, how is he going to, he's not blonde hair, blue eyes. This is going to be a disaster. So the two of the biggest risks that Zack Snyder took ended up making huge money, even after, that previous regime had jammed up everything. But look what's happened since then. After the glow of that is gone, what do you got? I have things like Birds of Prey, The Fantabulous. I just don't feel like saying the rest of the title. I have the Suicide Squad. I have Blue Beetle. And the one movie that was the event movie that should have been, an event movie that led to a bigger event movie failed under the weight of all this. And you move past all that. You draw a line in the sand and you say, there we go. That's the past. All those guys have either been fired, chased away from the company, bought out, repositioned. They're gone. The Sarnoffs are gone. The Hamadas are gone. The Emmerachs are gone. The Tishihara, thank God, is gone. All the people who got that damage underway are gone. But then the very next thing you do when you come in is or soon after you come in, is you let everybody you know who endured that, casual and otherwise, say, hey, we're starting over. That's the poison pill to your last remaining movies of this. And now the question, permanent damage. No, I don't think it's permanent damage, but I think it's going to go far beyond what people are thinking. I think there's an illusion out there that we're just going to restart everything. We're going to bring in a brand new Superman, and everybody who shit in their diapers for the last 9 years is just going to put on grown man panties now, when that's not true. The same people who were whining before are going to find a way or find a reason to whine about this Superman, this Batman, this Wonder Woman. But even if you put those guys aside, those are the extremists. That retail consumer relationship has been broken. The retail customer relationship, if you look across any company, I don't care who it is, that is the most important thing that you have. It's the expectation that you're going to come through. It's the expectation that you're going to do what is advertised. It's the expectation that if I provide you something that you like, you're going to give me more of it. And that's been broken. And I don't think completely restarting anything is going to help. The problem is, and I hear the reason why people are saying, well, he can't, he needs to start new because he can't come in with the new baggage. That's fine. The problem is you never dealt with the baggage to begin with. And now your customer is underneath all that baggage trying to figure out what the hell happened. That's going to take about 3 to 7 years to fix. I don't think Superman Legacy is going to make a lot of money. I think it's going to lose money, regardless to whether it's a quality movie or not. I think that the brand damage is such that people are going to give it a chance. The same place where they gave Blue Beetle a chance, right on their TV screens. And if they like it, and if they feel like there's more coming, you're going to start seeing that momentum probably maybe 2027, 2028. My question is who has that kind of time? From the customer's point of view, do you want to invest more years into this? If you're an investor, a stockholder, or a financier, do you want to invest more years into this? Do you give a fuck about 2027 sitting here barely at the end of 2023? Is that the kind of momentum you got? So that's the kind of damage they've done. It's not just the old regime. It's not just they're gone. It's some of the decision-making of the incoming guys. And the fact that you were out of time when you chase those guys off. And now we've just added more years and more time onto something that both hardcore and casual fans have already invested a lot in. So the DC brand, I don't know if the DC brand is permanently damaged. I think the trust in it is. And the question now is there enough time to fix it? Because we don't have anything in between Aquaman and the next major movie, which, by the way, like I said, Superman Legacy 2025, I doubt it. Under the best circumstances, I doubted that. Now, under strike circumstances and possibly restructuring of the entire entertainment landscape, I 2026 maybe. So permanently damaged, nah. But I think there's been enough missteps over a 10-year period, especially the last 5, that is a legitimate question. I think it's a ways off from being brought back to its full integrity, but permanently damaged, I don't think so. I think there needs to be some better decisions made. I think the decisions that were made at the outset of the Gun Safran Zaslav partnership, I don't think they were good. I think they pretty much had 2 paths they could have taken, resolve what was going forward to make those movies mean something, unless you just had 100 or 1 billion in ad expenses just to throw away. I mean, if you did, great. Or you could start announcing this new thing in the midst of the old thing and hope that people are like, you know what, I'm excited for these. And they weren't. I don't know why anybody thought that anybody was going to be excited for these movies. Overall, I mean, The Flash had its moments where, but at the same time, even as excited that I try to get people for that, it comes back to the same question. I don't trust you as a brand. You're literally giving me the remnants of something you as a company are throwing away with one hand, and then the other hand asking me to buy something new. It's a tough ask. Can they pull it off? Yeah, eventually, but not anytime soon. This is going to take some time, and it's not only going to take trust on our part as fans. Like I said, James Gunn has a boss, and his boss has a boss. If any of those 2 levels say, you know what, this ain't happening as quickly as I need it, guess where we're at? Back at square one. And the fact that you're doing this, whatever the hell it ends up being, restart, reboot, reimagining, the fact that you're doing this obviously puts on the table the fact that it could happen again. Once you've done something like this once, it's always a possibility that you can do it again. So am I buying into something that's going to end in 3 years with his contract? Or am I buying something that I can actually jump into and, bring up a generation in? So there's your damage. The fact that you can't answer that question, that's where the damage is. All right. Let's see. Answer is yes and no. Just because I already answered that one. I don't think that applies. We had cool temperatures this week. Now we're going back to the 90s. The 90s is cool temperatures. DC brand is damaged long term, but not permanently. I agree. Yeah, if you guys want to, you can join the Patreon. If you get up to 20, what did I give? What was the date I gave? September. I think I gave September 23rd, something like that, or so somewhere in there. I'll have to look at the last stream. If you give me up to 20 before for that, right now I think I'm at like 4 or 5. Actually, pretty quick. But we will watch the god awful worst comic book movie ever made. Howard the Duck. How do you think Gunn can inspire the general audiences to come back to DC again? The Sama TV numbers are declining in their. Well, okay. First, Sama's for the purposes of trying to figure out where DC is as a brand. I think Sama is one of the absolute worst tools to use. It's a partial tool. I think there's a lot of other things that they need. They really need to sit down and figure out every piece of data where they can get it from. Samba, Nielsen, internet, YouTube. I mean, likes everything. Everything needs to be put. They need to build a composite portal and find out exactly who their customer is. Because right now, I don't think they know. I don't think they understand. Put it this way: are we ever going to get a proper jail bill up to Darkseid? No, you had one happening, and that got corrupted. I don't think we're going to get one here because I don't think he's going to. Be honest with you, like I said, unless you see them sign him to a 10-year contract with no clauses in it to the point where he gets to finish whatever he started, I don't know if he's going to get that far. Things change. The entire landscape, the landscape that brought James Gunn and Peter Safran into this position, as we speak, is changing. Warner Brothers Discovery is doing a lot of moving around to a lot of divisions. So how is I don't know what their commitment is to him as far as like, are we going to back you if Superman Legacy isn't the greatest thing since sliced bread? So proper build up to Darkseid. Now, and the fact that they had one in place and it got ruined is a permanent stain. Somebody trying to do it again now is always going to be in the shadow of what had the plug pulled on it. So I don't know. Hal Jordan is going to be able to produce a good Superman product that could give general audience more confidence. I sort of think so, but not really. Because once again, him making a good movie is not going to be good enough. My belief is that making a good movie is about a quarter of what it's going to take to make it an overall success. It has to be in the right situation, it has to be in the right atmosphere, and there has to be momentum. If you don't have those three factors, your good movie is going to be, swirling, the drain with all the other good movies that DC has put out that have tanked. I think that the second round of Gods and Monsters, or whatever the second chapter is, I think that will be where you're going to start seeing traction. But I think a lot of people are going to sit this out, just like they sat out Blue Beetle, just like they sat out a lot of these movies. And with the tool of HBO Max, and I'm not calling it Max, I've decided to not call it Max. With HBO Max out there, and a lot of people can wait 45 days unless they're generally excited about seeing this, but they've proven that they are not. They have proven that they're not. And I think that the damage has been done to Superman by getting you revved up, getting you going with two movies that made increasing box office with each one, and then you don't see them for the next 5 years. That stuff damages you. That stuff actually damages you amongst the general audience more than it does us. So yeah, I don't have any doubt in my mind that he can put a good Superman product out there. But we've seen that now. We've seen the box office has shown you that if the situation isn't right, your good movie, like I said, you might as well hit the flush handle on it. For all of you that saw Blue Beetle, was that a bad movie? Was that a good movie? Everybody I talked to said Blue Beetle was a good movie. I talked to more people than not. I know a lot of you want to just sit there and with your eyeballs pressed up to the screen and look at, the CGI for the Flash, and that's fine. But the majority of the people I talked to had fun with it. The majority of the people that I know now that are watching it on HBO Max are loving it. Was that a perfect movie? No, it wasn't a bad movie. The Suicide Squad was a great movie. I enjoyed the Suicide Squad. And a lot of the excuses come up, COVID, and like I said, even though statistically I brought up the numbers that showed you that movies that were released during that period did fine, that movies that were released pre-vaccination when people were more terrified of going to the theaters than they were in August of 2021, and those movies did fine. But that's fine. I mean, what about Harley Quinn? There wasn't COVID when Harley Quinn, when the Fantabulous what the fuck happened. That movie didn't do well. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. So, and Shazam itself was a good movie. So yeah, this is not a topic on whether James Gunn can make a great movie. You guys have heard me say over and over again. I think he's a brilliant storyteller. He'll do just fine there. But he's no longer just a director. He's no longer just a storyteller. He's a studio head. And I've always said, crappy movies in a great circumstances make money. Captain Marvel. Good movies in bad circumstances will not. And it's been proven now. It's not just my voice. It's been mathematically proven now. So yeah, I think he'll make a great movie. Is that going to matter? That's what has to change. Yeah, but here's the thing, though. They're getting canceled after you just released 3 of them that all made $1 billion. Now, as far as like canceling ones forward, if the idea doesn't work, cancel it. I would have loved for them to take that approach with Shazam, Fury of the Gods, with Blue Beetle, with Harley Quinn, with Suicide Squad. If you don't have a plan, don't just go jumping into the deep end. That's my opinion. The general audience is showing up for the movies not connected to the DC universe. I really feel like this is going to be a problem going on. But even that point, I mean, the money that the Batman pulled in would have gotten people fired. Remember? People, well, you put Batman on something, it's got to be $1 billion. The Batman, which I love, it is my favorite overall Batman movie, it brought in numbers. They brought in less money than BVS, and that money got people in a panic. I think people will show up for a solo Batman movie, period. If Batman is the headliner, and that's why when people tell me, well, the Flash failed, it had two Batman. It had two Batman as the undercard. But Batman, I'm sorry, as the undercard. And I told you guys before, you know, Fossil Batman, even though he was my Batman growing up, I'm not a kid anymore. The audience that you are catering to are not kids anymore. Most of these millennials, some of these millennials weren't alive or they were in diapers when Michael Keaton was Batman. He hadn't been relevantly on the screen as Batman for 33 years. And I had all the people saying, I'm going to see it for Keaton. I'm going to see it for Keaton. Yeah. And whoever did the analytics for that needs to be fired. If you went to Flash just to see Michael Keaton, good for you. But the majority of the audience was never going to go see that movie, enough people to make that movie a hit over a 70-year-old Batman that hasn't been on the screen in anybody's lives in 33 years. And he did great while he was there. But people pay money for Batman at the top of the card. BVS, he's at the top of the card. The Batman, he's at the top of the card. Cameos. They want Batman front and center. And to be honest with you, the fact that movie wasn't connected, I don't really think really mattered, because guess what? If Ben Affleck would have done a movie, had done a movie, and it had, it would have been connected to the DCU, but they wouldn't have necessarily had to be in it. I think Ben Affleck movie would have made even more money. So I don't think the problem necessarily is the shared universe. I think the problem is there's no continuity backing it. You ruined the only examples that they've done of a shared universe. That's the damage. That's what people look towards. That's it. That's the only evidence they have of your performance is it being disrupted and incomplete. That's the damage to the brand. DC trying to pull off Marvel signs, blah, 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 right now, like saying, no. And that's the problem. You're okay. So you're right in the latter half, fourth, but not in the front half, because that's not what Snyder was trying to do. What he was trying to do was nothing like I was seeing in the MCU. What they tried to, you're right, they tried to distort it into something like the MCU, and that's where damage is on. So you're right there. How you doing, Jacob McKenzie? What's going on? Black Adam almost touched 400 million without a China release. Audiences are coming back to the theater for DCU in 2022. Getting rid of Cavill really killed the momentum. Well, that and not having him throughout that 5 years. Why is The Rock, who's not head of DC Films, who's not head of Warner Brothers, fighting harder to get me a Superman than the people who make millions to do so? That's the damage. The 70% drop is bad. It's a steep fall off. People were not being actively telling people to view it. Comparing BBS numbers today is about being grateful. No, it's about being stupid. People who were piss-handing about the 70% drop and comparing it to today, yes, you can compare it to today. Math is math. We're not talking about 20 years ago. We're talking about what? We're in 2023. We're talking about 6-7 years ago. Yeah, you can. When they've done nothing consistently to that ilk since then, yes, you damn sure can compare that to. And the 70% drop, once again, you took a Superman IP that couldn't draw shit. 6 years later, bought it to $678 million. 3 years later, took that same character and made a movie that made hundreds of millions of dollars more. Made literally $200 million more. But we're Einstein's enough to point out a 70% drop that ultimately on the total balance sheet doesn't fucking matter. But we can't do the math of the increase from 678 million to 871 million. We can't look at a chart and look at charts that go up, keep people's jobs. Charts that go down overall. That chart from 678, I don't have to be a math whiz, is $871 million more than $678 million of the previous film. I don't know anybody who gets fired when they increase revenue from one movie to another. That's what the damage is. We were too stupid to know what a win was. We pried failure out of an $871 million movie. You know shit's bad when you can do that. How many DC movies on today's dollars in DC's Connected Universe have pulled in more than $400 million? It didn't matter if those movies had a 70% drop because they didn't make any money. Do that math. If you told me that Blue Beetle was going to make $600 million, but it had a 70% drop in the second week, you think these people that are running around with like with chickens without their heads on right now wouldn't do a dance with champagne bottles in the air? You think they will be rushing it to PBOD or under those circumstances? No, we didn't. We couldn't comprehend what a win was. We know what losing is now, don't we? Yeah, it took too long to get out. And then, like I said, in the interim, you pretty much destroyed any continuity. Why do an Aquaman 2 if you don't have any continuity? Continuity leads to cash. I bet here you go again. I bet WB will see how Joker and Batman 2 will make big box office. No, it won't. Okay, what part of the math do you not understand? Fourth, I love you, man, but if they hired you right now, I may be able to buy Warner Brothers next week. When you drive him into the ground into bankruptcy, you cannot sustain anything real on the money that those isolated movies bring in. You cannot. That is the reason why they are that. Why do you think James Gunn was brought in with the mandate of a shared universe? They know that they can't do it with these movies. They will go belly up. There's a reason why you don't see standalones in Marvel. And if you ever saw standalones like that in Marvel, it's only because they've mastered their shared universe. The shared universe is a revenue generator. It is a proven revenue generator. The Joker's billion, great. I give away 33% of that to the theaters. I pay back to people who fronted the money and their interest. And guess what? That billion ain't a billion anymore. And what am I getting another joke? When am I getting another Joker 2? When was the last The Batman released? When was that released? When is the next one coming out? You're going to say on that frequency, they're going to follow that business model? They'll go broke. They're struggling now as it is. They need revenue and they need volume and they need frequency. And these two movies you bought up do not. That formula is just not going to work. It's great to have the Joker. It's great to have the Batman. But alongside a shared universe, not instead of a shared universe. All right, there's some names on some office doors that'll get changed if they follow that model. And they're not going to because they're smarter than that. Yeah. Streaming is definitely a factor post-pandemic. Warner is releasing the Snyder Trilogy on 4K again, a special edition with more apparently. That's what. Yeah, I mean, they don't have any ideas. They had no. They spent so long without ideas. Now you got a guy who has his ideas. It just doesn't. It's not working. All right, so now you're trolling me, Fourth. You're trolling me. Okay, I understand. At some point of the night, I have to understand when Fourth is just messing with me. Daniel Martin, I saw BVS in the theater 5 times, but the quality is missing. And these, plus the fact that these movies will be on digital streaming platform. Yeah. It's not an event. They don't create events anymore. The Flash is the biggest event that they would have had, but when you disjoint and throw away everything that led up, that was supposed to lead up and be part of what the Flash's universe was in, the Flash now becomes the Babe Ruth that's supposed to hit you the grand slam instead of a support character. The Flash is on the first line, but he's at the end of the bench. He's not Superman. He's not Batman. So, yeah, you put yourself in a position where the Flash had to be the determining factor of whether you needed to go on or not. Ryan is going to flop. DC's not going to see it. It's your opinion. I don't feel that way. Okay, Brian. What evidence, do you have to counter that? And I'm not saying that. I think Superman Legacy is going to lose some money. I just don't think the brand trust is there in the brand. I know, depending on how much they spend, and they have to spend a decent amount. They can't be going Kmart on it. You get what you pay for. If you try to put together a low budget or a mid budget Superman movie in this era of comic book movies, you're going to get laughed off the screen. So they're not going to do that. So they're going to spend a good chunk of change on it. Hey, but what evidence does anybody have that I mean, you can hope that it's going to succeed. That's great. But right now the trends are that you got a 747 that's aimed downwards, headed towards the ground, and the effort to pull it back up is going to be monumental. And it's not going to be easy. But yeah, I like I said, I do think Superman Legacy is not going to make a lot of money. I don't think it'll be a bad movie. It might be a great movie. But you're hoping one way, and the evidence, the financial evidence is shown us the other way. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The only way to better the brand is create coherent narrative in the writing. That's true. They had a period from 2004 all the way up to about 2013, 2012, to where they didn't. And they were actually the place that people came, and then they hired Ishihara and he fucked everything up. Yeah, I can't. Samba for me, I don't understand why people use that as a I don't know. DC Studios needs to hear a quote from the VVS: take a bucket piss and call it Granny's peach tea. Take a weapon of assassination, call it deterrence. You want full or a fly or me? I'm not going to drink it. It's true that that's I was thinking at putting CNN ads in the Max, even if you upgrade it to premium plan. What the hell? I heard that. I hope that's not. I hope that's not true. I really hope that's not true. I heard about that. William, what will happen if Jane Gunn used different dark side? That is not the same one at the end of the Snyder Cut because there's only one dark side. Yeah, well, he could just say, that's not my universe. I would hope that he didn't do that, but, I don't know if he's going to use dark side, to be honest with you. I doubt that he's going to use dark side. I doubt he's going to go into that territory because I think that would be constantly compared to what Zack Snyder did, and I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to create his own territory. It's IP's the future. Yeah, I mean it is. The Suicide Squad was. I actually like Suicide Squad. I understand why it wasn't a lot of people's cup of tea, and I understand why sort of why it didn't do as well. But I actually enjoyed it. Well, it didn't just look like crap, but outside of Harley Quinn, why are you going to shell out that kind of money for a bunch of IPs you don't know? People can say that you should, but people don't. When the math hits the fan, people do not pay for characters like that unless like I said, had they spent time structuring their universe to where we cared about these characters, maybe, but they didn't. They just kept giving it to you. Gunn can introduce Justice League and Superman without losing focus on the story. Yeah, we were already going into a world, according to him, there's superheroes there. So W keeps thinking Harley Quinn. Well, you know what? She is, but they keep putting her in bad movies. The Harley Quinn movie should have been scrapped. And then so she's been in 2 movies that have been failing. I mean, it hurts the brand. William, do you think Gunplan will work? I'm not 100% sure because a lot of it is not necessarily up to whether he's up to the creative geniuses or not. A lot of it is up to how this is going to be accepted. A lot of this is up to whether corporations have the patience for how long this is going to take. This isn't going to be instant. There's been too much damage, done to the brand for you to just microwave it. And like I said, I think it will happen eventually. I just don't know how long it's going to take. That's why my answer to this question is no, it's not permanent damage, but it's significantly damaged. It's not instantly reparable damage. And if Superman, if he comes out with a great movie and it doesn't do well box office wise, has Zaslav made the case to the shareholders and the investors that this is the case and we need time. These investors are not, these stockholders are not always comic book people who are the, trust the process guys. They want their dividends to split. They want their money. So a lot of it's going to end up relying on a lot of things that have nothing to do with Gunn and Safran and the kind of work that they do. Now that DC is a separate studio, there better be chances to connect movies instantly. Yeah, and that's another thing. That took too long. Yeah, and some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff he's put out, like The Brave and the Bold, I'm on the fence about. Superman Legacy, I'm on the fence about. But the Swamp Thing, I'm interested in. The Paradise Lost, I'm interested in. The Green Lantern Show, I'm definitely interested in. Creature Commandos could care less. But some of the stuff he's laid out, I'm interested in and would like to see follow through. But now we go back to the damage. The last time I got this excited about DC, the last time I threw, money at DC, invested time and effort and emotion into DC, I got left holding the bag. And then the bag that they replaced the bag I had with was kind of empty with some half-hearted shit in it. So as I get excited and as the general fan gets like, ooh, maybe this sounds good. And then I go, ooh, wait a minute. I'm reminded of why we're here at the beginning of square one again, aren't I? So there you go. How you doing, Larry? What's going on? Oops, hold on. I forgot to turn my thing on. You guys may be sending me messages to Streamlabs, and I'm completely ignoring you. I'm sorry. But once again, this topic is not whether James Gunn is this or that, or whether James Gunn narratively has the ability to do it. Narratively, I think he does. But do I think that, the brand has been damaged enough for that to see? I don't think so. Now, I think the brand damage is significant enough that it won't happen under the timetable that a lot of people want it to. And some of those people have a say in whether it continues at all. So there you go. Azteca WB had a layout DCU once as well. They put all their titles and plan to release from Cyborg Justice League. Don't know how Warner Brothers. Don't know about Warner Brothers anymore. I've got no confidence, and a lot of people don't. Like I said, you could get all excited about everything James Gunn put out in his slate, and some of it's legitimate cool stuff. I remember doing a stream talking about all the stuff, and it all sounded great. But until I and a lot of people that have stopped showing up to these movies see a roadmap and some proven, not just successes. Your general audience needs to know that you're in, that you're going to give them a beginning, give them a middle, and give them an end. That's what an average fan wants. They want the story. That's why they keep coming to the Fast movies. That's why they kept coming to the MCU movies. They bought into a story, and as long as you gave them the beginning, the middle, and the end, and they were fed. You know what? You can give them. You can get away with an Ant-Man. You can get away with an Eternals. Because every time that they've showed up at your table, you had the steak ready. And you were consistent and you gave it to them. DC hasn't. They gave you a beginning. Middle kind of got jammed up. And the end was non-existent for the most part. And a bunch of filler in between. A bunch of movies, most of whom should have never been made. So, yeah, having these movies announced, that kind of goes back to the damage, but it's because we had movies announced before and we didn't get them. Yeah, it's a different regime, but a lot of familiar tastes are in the air. Oh, why am I coughing? Knowing who someone is and caring who they are two different things. And Harley Quinn wasn't enough to drive that movie. She hasn't been enough to drive any movie she's in. You had a lot of stuff. You had Will Smith in the original Suicide Squad. Now, from Suicide David Ayers or Suicide Squad or whatever who's made it. I mean, from that Suicide Squad on, you're starting to decrease as far as not only star power, but star characters themselves. At least Will Smith, even though he was playing a character no one knew who the hell it was Will Smith. So clearly she's not on her own is not enough to carry that character. And I'm not knocking Margot Robbie. But what they've done to that character since Suicide Squad 2016 hasn't been much. And it's kind of watered down what that character meant. Yeah, and like I said, okay, James Gunn may mean to put all these out. But like I said, he's got a boss, and that boss has bosses. If they're on their golf cart and their platinum hubcaps on their limos and stuff and whatever, caviar, if they're sitting in the limo looking at their pad saying, "Ooh, this is not enough for us," then that's it. No, you're not getting a 10-year plan if the people who employ you say there's no 10-year plan. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but because it has happened already, you never resolved the way this previous set of things didn't wrap up. And that's always going to be the elephant in the room. That's always going to be the ghost that haunts your movies. And your cure for that ghost is a reboot, which actually just made it worse. Because not only have you told people that the movies that you want them to come out and see are kind of, going nowhere, but that time that they invested, that doesn't mean as much either. It's like, there goes your trust, there goes your retail consumer trust. Yeah, you kept missing the other ones, man, so I figured out here I am. I'm here for you, Larry. I think Gunn will save the DCU. He has a plan for a universe like the previous regime had no idea. Yeah, the guys in the previous 5 years had no ideas. But once again, this isn't just about Gunn's plan. This isn't just about whether Gunn can do. I am on board with all of you guys that narratively believe James Gunn can come up with some masterpiece stuff. That is not. I am not disputing that. But that's not the entirety of the situation, any more than Zack Snyder's ability to give us groundbreaking stuff was. If the situation is not right, if the ground that you are building on, the foundation you are building this new building on is not secure, it's going to share the same fate as the same building that fell before it. So I need to see that Warner Brothers Discovery has it right in the head, not James Gunn. James Gunn is not the final decision maker in Warner Brothers Discovery. It's Zaslav, his chairmen of the board, and his stockholders. I got to see that they're all in lockstep with this because this is going to take a while. And I have never seen, all they've showed me is panic and impatience. So, yeah, whether James Gunn narratively can pull, to put out a great story and tell you a great story, have no doubt in the world. But and I think as fans, we kind of forget about that. That's not everything. That's a more significantly less part of the overall schematic than you actually want to think. You would think that a great story and a great movie, and you're just going to throw it out there, and everybody's going to love it, and you're going to get more and more and more of it. But no, there's more to it than that. There's more to it than just a storyteller this time around. So, yeah, that's not in dispute for me. Azteca, WB as a studio is fine. Now, when it comes to them owning DC and now they operate within the brand, it's just a roller coaster of dumb decisions, sprinkle in with some good ones. And I had a lot of hope for the Zaslav regime. Like I said, I still think that the Zaslav regime, even with these missteps, is infinitely better. I would not trade the Zaslav regime for the predecessor. So don't get that crooked. I just as uncertain as I am about what's happening now, I do not trade them in for what we had before. Hell no. But yeah, I think there's been some questionable decisions, and I think there's just too much time to dwell over those decisions and not enough time to turn things around, possibly. But now, going back to the title question is the brand permanently damaged? If the people backing James Gunn and that signed the checks at Warner Brothers Discovery have a true understanding of just how much damage was done and just how much time he should have, then no, James Gunn can pull this off. I would give it 5 years. 5 years minimum from where we're sitting now. If they are looking strictly at numbers to define whether this has the momentum to go forward, we might be in some uncertain territory. Let's see. I'm spending the DCIA just catching up on Arrowverse. It's definitely not bad. It's not good either, but to each his own. There's a lot of people who love the Arrowverse. I just never thought it was my cake. Ra's al Ghul is Middle Eastern. From every reading I've ever understood it from, he's Middle Eastern. I know he has some European in his bloodline, but depending on who you retcon, but I always figured out Ra's al Ghul was Middle Eastern. Let's see. I'm gonna jump in. Yeah, like I said, and it's good that James Gunn is ahead of his studio now, and in that you have him answering directly to Zaslav, but now what kind of animal am I dealing with Zaslav? He's been doing some weird stuff, man. This whole CNN thing with Max, what I don't. I'm hoping that's just a weather balloon, and he's kind of going to see how people feel about that. Even in the premium versions, listen, I have CNN. I can watch I can change it. I watch a lot of CNN. I don't want it on my Max. I mean, come on, man, or my HBO Max. Whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. And honestly, the only thing in the planned DCU state that has my interest in Swamp Thing. That's it. I'm a big Batman fan, Brave and the Bold. I'm not sure about, but I'm not hating. I'm not sure about Superman Legacy. I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm super interested in Green Lantern. I'm super interested in Swamp Thing. I'm super interested in Paradise Lost. Those are ones I'm excited for. And it's unfortunate because I wish this was coming into a better situation. Had the powers that be done a better job of resolving all these loose ends and using that resolution to propel into this new thing, I think you'd have a lot higher odds to succeed. But like I said, and it's not just, and I know I'll have detractors on there that say I'm just bad because the Snyderverse is this and that. I'm like, you know what? I'm over that. I'm over that. We're not talking about Snyderverse right now. We're talking about from 2018 to now and what that means going forward. Because the damage was done post Snyder. The damage if they would have came to the table and said, you know what, we're not cool where Snyder's going, this is not our cup of tea, and we don't think we're getting a response, that's fine. Studios do that all the time. That's fine. Marvel does it all the time. You just don't see it because Marvel doesn't mess it up. It's seamless when they make their changes. And whenever Marvel puts something to the side or changes something, they usually have something better in mind that we don't know. We just say, we just take it for granted that it's going to be done right, and that the people that are running the show aren't a bunch of buffoons. Where DC messed up is they had a plan A in motion and didn't have a better plan B to replace it. If you were going to disrupt what they were doing, then you needed to have something better. You needed to have something so good that it seamlessly integrated into what you were doing. But they didn't. They didn't have a good plan B. They had a bunch of C-level characters that they thought that they could put in the place of the A-listers. And they got the money. They got the money they earned. Blue Beetle pulled in Blue Beetle money. Shazam pulled in Shazam money. Birds of Prey pulled in exactly what Birds of Prey should have pulled in. Shazam, the original Shazam, pulled in exactly what Shazam should have pulled in. The Flash, under these circumstances, now that in hindsight, even though I hope for the best of that movie, as a support character that's not even the 1A or the 1B, he's like the 1C or 1D. He's a top tier, but that movie was designed to coexist within a universe. So when you release it bereft of that universe, the Flash, in hindsight, might have earned what the Flash was supposed to earn. You get what you pay for, and you get what you invest into. So, let's see. Yeah, I actually think Superman Legacy is being the first major motion picture that he's going to do under this banner. It's the most important one because the general audience connects and gravitates to Superman and Batman, unlike in ways that they don't necessarily do with these other characters. Let's see. You have a trusted service like HBO, and you don't emphasize that. Yeah, and I thought, be honest with you, this is what shocked me is Zaslav comes from a streaming environment. I thought for sure he would utilize this. He comes in with this old Hollywood mentality that we're going to focus on the big screen. I'm like, dude, you are at where you are at because of streaming. You have HBO Max, and you change the name. What the? HBO is like I played it on the stream a couple months ago. That static sound that you hear. When you hear that, you knew something good was about to happen. HBO as a brand name that has been 40 years building, and now it's just Max. And I'm like, come on, man. That shocked me. Let's see. So yeah, I don't think the damage is long term. I think I don't. I think the damage is long term. I don't think it's permanent, and I think that you can fix it. Now, the question is not the damage question is going to be answered by the audience. Are they going to show up to these movies? Are they going to show up to Superman Legacy? When by that time, Superman is not going to even be in the conversation at that point. And people say, well, that's good because they're going to get a fresh start. No, not really. I think that keeping these characters in the conversation is how you generate revenue. I mean, but like I said, it's not irreparable. They just got to start making some decisions that really make sense. And doing reshoots. How many reshoots we need of Aquaman? How much money does that add on to Aquaman's burden? If you weren't going to do anything with the characters that were in these remaining movies, I mean, why not just put those on Max? Because, like I said, why are you listening to people who are in your ear saying, just go ahead and release them? People will come because they're good movies. No, knock that off, right? That is shit you smear on a Christmas card to make people happy. Just make a great movie and like it fulfills the dream. You make it and they will come. No, they didn't. And the last year alone, I've seen plenty of really good movies that people didn't show up for. Plenty of good movies that were in crappy situations. and like I said, you people are paying attention to all this in different levels and different ways. Some of us are on the internet staring at their avatar on the screen. But the rest of us, the majority of us, are just people who are like, wow, this is confusing. And in this competitive climate of entertainment, you got to be simple. You got to be streamlined. You can't be what DC's been from 2018 to now. Not if you want the common fan to gravitate towards you. It can't be this complicated. So, let's see. Yeah, that's the whole man. They got a lot of big names in there though, and you want to be putting Brolin, and you want to be putting you know, Florence Pugh just off her performance of Oppenheimer. All some of these people have been in good movies this year. You want Zendaya on your couch on the shows of the Fallons and the Kimmels and all the other shows, the Graham Nortons. You want your Dave Bautistas on your YouTube. I understand. It's just so stupid that because of the stupid ass strike, that this is going to cost us. And like I said, I think Oppenheimer is the best movie of the year so far. But that I always said before I saw Dune, I needed to see Dune to make that final determination. And now I'm not going to see Dune until March. The DC fans are here. The DC fans are here. And to be honest with you, most of us ain't going to go away in between now and 20, whatever he gets his first movies out there. And if it were just up to the DC fans holding us up, it would be held up. That would be enough. But we're not enough. I know a lot of people like to think that we're this disproportionate amount of the fandom. We're not. All right? Us comic book geeks, we're not. I mean, I would love it because it would mean more money for me, retail-wise. But the vast majority, overall majority of these people are just average Joes that are attracted by the IPs that they see. And once they dive in with you, they want continuity. And if you can't give that to them, they're going to go to something else. Even the Batman, the thing that you guys say is standalone, they got sequels. And they're probably going to get trilogies. And even all these people, the Joker's not going to get a sequel. That will ruin the first one and all this nonsense I heard. I'm sitting halfway through that movie like, there is so much story to tell that they are damn sure. I remember leaning next to the person that was with me when we saw Joker in the theater to the pre-screening. There's going to be a sequel. And I remember leaving the Joker. There's going to be a sequel. I don't care what they say in the immediacy of it all. And I don't care what anybody says, the anti-sequel crowd, that it's going to ruin the first one. I'm like, why? Or are you going to go shit on the first one if you don't like the second one? No. The first one is still going to mean a lot to you. It's not going to ruin anything. But guess what? Now that's a trilogy. Technically, that's a franchise. People want continuity. They want consistent continuity. When you don't give them that, they leave you. It's that simple, man. Yeah. I'm one of those guys. I'm guilty. I don't care. Listen, I care about your standalone movie. And that's what you're giving me. But eventually, like I said, even if I give you all my money, every 3 or 4 years, I'm gonna get a sequel. I'm gonna get another one of your movies. And even that, if those guys are defined by trilogies, so I get 6 movies in like 9 years. And if I'm running a company, how much money is that for me? That's not the frequency I need. Now, if you add that kind of bonus money on the backdrop of giving me 3 to 4 continued universe movies a year, and you add that revenue, once you get me excited about that, all right, now I see where my money's going. I see my stock going up. I see people getting excited. And guess what? Those people that are coming into your shared universe, they're going to go watch that solo movie as well. They're going to buy into the IP because once you got them in, they're in. So, yeah, your standalone movies as the model, hell no. You might as well, start interviewing for your next job. That's just not going to happen. That will never happen. That landscape is gone. This is not 1980s. This is not 1995. The reliance on solo movies, you cannot mathematically do it. They want to share all the bosses, all the shareholders. They know the one thing that they know about these comic book things is that they want that shared universe money. In the solo movies, they'll take that, but they want that shared universe money. They've had a taste of it. They're never giving that up. I was going to sit in season 3 of Westworld, and then boom, it got completely taken off, and that's the reason I buy completely. Oh, listen here. Okay, so finish season 3 of Westworld. Season 4 wasn't great, and I loved that show. Season 4 was not great. If you finish season 3 of Westworld, you are seeing the best 3 seasons of Westworld. Then just leave it at that, in my opinion. I know, but I can't imagine these people just see it from that there's a significant amount of people. No. Like I said, we bounce our ideas off each other at a loud volume. When each streaming service can pull shows on movies anytime they want. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're talking about the physical media? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, too. But that now you're going to see that happening more because residuals and stuff like that, too. That's another thing that this strike is going to uncover. All right. DC fans need to feel the dream moment. If you build it, they will come. And then watch all the DC Hollywood numbers. Yeah. You know what, though? There's a way, like I said before, I just wish that they would have come in and assessed the situation and not been in such a fired-up hurry to get to Superman Legacy and to get to this new universe. Have what you want to do on the table. It's not. I have no problem with ending up where he wants to go. I have a problem in the path of the way they're getting there and the damage being done to the brand as they get there. Like I said a month or so ago, I'll find that stream for you guys. Come in here. I don't expect you to continue the Snyderverse. That's not practical. It's just not practical for you to get your thing going. But you have to know that the credibility that you are going to inherit has been shot because of this. Give me a Kingdom Come. Put the last memory that I have of Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, Ray Fisher, if possible, Jason Momoa. Put the last memory in my head of those characters as a really, really good one. Not just my head, the general audience. Give the last thing that the general audience sees of Henry Cavill something cool. Because guess what? You don't know at what point your customer is coming into your product. We're thinking now, what if it's 6 months, a year from now, someone decides that they're going to dive into the DCIP? You want them diving into a bunch of broken stuff, or do you want him to have him or her to have a nice, consistent lineage to the things that you're at now? If you go see Superman Legacy, I want him to pick up HBO Max and experience all that stuff. But right now, it's a jumbled mess. It's a jumbled mess, you know? They should have came in, and Gunn should have, like I said, Gunn should have started with his new universe. But I think it's been a very costly mistake that he took over this one with no real plan for it. I'm not against Gunn's hire. I'm against Gunn's hire and being implemented the way it's being implemented now. Some type of resolution so that when I'm selling this to you, when I'm selling, not a Snyder bro, and not any of us, I'm talking about selling that brand new money. I want the new money. I want the 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old guy coming in and being like, wow, Kingdom Come, this is cool. And guess what? I'm working with James Gunn. I'm working with Pam Babby, Luke, and all these guys. And we're sitting down and we're looking at what James Gunn's got going and what he wants to do, and we're putting threads into what we've done, and we're figuring a way to wrap all this mess. We're wrapping it up with a bow, and at the same time springboarding you into these things, and that's how we're going to spend the years in between this, getting you excited about this instead of just throwing these movies out there and letting them drown, which is what they did. I don't think fans are stupid. I think fans in a lot of cases, listen. It's the fan thing it's a two-way street. Like I said, it's a fan retailer experience. If you're a good retailer, your fans will go where you lead them. If you're a good retailer, if you're a good seller, then your fans don't have to have these gaps, in continuity and product. So part of whatever the fans are is a byproduct of what the seller is, and WBD has been a bad seller. I think it looks great. I finally got a chance to see it. I think it looks great. It makes me hope that they have enough faith into him and to give him the money to do Mindhunters. William, are you a big car guy? No, I'm not. Am I going to watch the movie Ferrari based on a bargain? Probably, maybe. I'll probably end up promoting it, and since it's Oscar worthy, I might go see it. Yeah, Fassbender is one of the best actors of this generation. All right. I have no evidence. I just have a little bit too much faith. I mean, that's fine, Ryan. It is 100% for you. To hope for that. And be honest with you, as somebody who wants to see it and have a real fun conversation about this years from now, I hope so too. But unfortunately, I hoped before. You see what I mean? I went down this road before. I got my diploma in DC University. I got my lessons in DC, and one of those lessons is not to buy what they're selling at the start until you see that they're in it. If I see that DC and WBD is behind this stuff, no, and they are committed to following through, then you're going to see me come closer to that fence. But until then, the only thing I have is not only the previous regime screw up, but I have what these guys have done. And to me, that's just like, that's not giving me a good, warm, fuzzy feeling. So like I said, I don't think we're going to be criticizing his quality. I just think that, are we going to be? I have no reason to not believe we're going to be back in the same situation as we're in now. And that largely might not have anything to do with how good a movie Superman Legacy is. Because, to be honest with you, the situation we're in now didn't have a lot to do with how good Justice League or not just Zack Snyder's Justice League or Batman versus Superman or Man of Steel was. So we go back to the good movie thing, and that wasn't enough 10 years ago. It hasn't been enough the last 5 years. So that's now I'm looking at that and I'm looking forward. And unless I see some miracles, I'm kind of sketchy, man. But hey, listen, Ryan, you have the right, and I am glad you are out there with that optimism. And I hope to join you. How about that? I hope to join you in 2 years or 3 years, I think. Court of Owls right now. And Mr. Freeze, but I'd want to see him in a serial killer like formation. I will agree with that after season 2. Season 4 just wasn't good. I'm sorry. It just wasn't good. And I wanted it. I sat through season 4 wanting it to be good, and it just never got there. And so when they pulled the plug on Westworld after season 4, I thought, especially if you watch the season finale of season 4, I thought they told all the story that they think they were out of story. He's rumored to be. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure where it is. Yeah, seasons 1 and 2 of Westworld were awesome. Yeah, yes, I am. True Detective is one of the best things that HBO has done. Yeah, and you know what the funny thing about it is? He made me care about Polka Dot Man. I cared about his plight. But the problem with Polka Dot Man is the general audience was like, what? Who? And the Suicide Squad in general was, throwaway movies. I mean, the original Suicide Squad was a tool to get you to continue the Batman, Harley Quinn, Joker story, but the second one wasn't. And it was, it was just the characters you knew were going to die. Raised by Wolves was super, super expensive for the ratings it was getting. I love that show. I love Ridley Scott. But if I were running the show financially, I would have had to cancel Raised by Wolves as well. Or sell it to somebody. Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you mean. Like I said, whenever I address you guys, I'm never addressing you unless it's fourth 1,000. Just kidding. I'm addressing the sentiment because I know when people watch this show over and over again, a lot of people are going to have the same sentiments as you do, even though they're not here live with me. So no, nothing personal, Ryan. I understand 100% what you're saying, and I hope to join you. William, when you were a kid, realistically, what was the longest TV show that lasted in terms of seasons, taking away Star Trek and Stargate? The one that lasted too long, and that is X-Files. X-Files did not need 10 seasons. All right, guys, just remember. Let's see. Am I forgetting my? Oh, yeah. This weekend I am going to be watching a wrestling pay per view on our Patreon. So those of you guys that are interested in joining up, let me know, or actually just join up and you'll get a notification. It's probably going to be WWE's Payback because there's a schedule conflict with Sunday for me to be able to do All Out, which is the one I really want to do. If you feel the need, you can donate to my Frappuccino Fund. Any amount helps. Also, I'm going to put the Patreon link up here for you guys. I'm working on some stuff to launch this weekend. We are gonna watch a movie. We're probably gonna watch a movie real pretty soon. And I want you guys in the comments section, either live or afterwards, to let me know. Yeah, Howard the Duck is up there. If I get 20 by that my deadline, I think September 13th is the deadline I gave, something like that. So and there's a Patreon link. There's a You know what though, and things like Barbie, I know you're saying that as a joke, but in seriously though, IPs like that have been taken care of. Sometimes it doesn't matter what the IP is if you've taken care of it, or if it hasn't been exposed yet. Like Barbie, there's been no Barbie live action movies. There's no way there's no thing to compare it to. You can just do it, or it's been it's been done successfully before, like a Mario Brothers movie making $1 billion like that. Now, the only one you had before was the live action one. It didn't do terrible, but it didn't do like wonder, great. But when you take care of an IP, and that's the one thing when people always make the comparison to Marvel. Whether it was Fox or Sony, you can say what you want about it, any particular individual movie. For the most part, Fox took care of the X-Men. You may not have liked everything they did, but the vast majority of people enjoyed the first X-Men movie is brilliant. Days of Future Past is one of my favorite comic book movies. So as a whole, even before the MCU, the brand was being taken care of. All right, Sony, you can say whatever the hell you want to say about Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 1 was great. Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest comic book movie sequels of all time, and I'll stand by that. Spider-Man 3 had too much going on, but even it made $700 and something million. No live-action Spider-Man movie made less than $700 million. I liked Amazing Spider-Man. Now, Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't great, but I think a third one would have been fine. I didn't hate Amazing Spider-Man 2, but the brand has been taken care of. So by the time 2008 came along, people were used to mostly quality when it came to that Marvel name. They didn't know what the MCU was. So DC, if you take care of the brand, it'll take care of you. They just haven't done that. Yeah, that sucks. And why they canceled it was stupid. But yeah. All right. Yes, I was. I love Boardwalk Empire. No. I thought it went on just right. I think 4 seasons, 4 seasons, because there was only so much story you could tell with that before it got to the point where most of the people were going to die anyway. Oh, it's gonna happen. You guys gonna give me the 20, so I'm gonna have to supper through Howard the Duck. I'm gonna start making an ad with Howard the Duck on it. So you guys give me the 20 Patreons. We'll watch Howard the Duck. I will endure Howard the Duck for you guys. All right. I'm gonna do what you guys want me to do, as long as to a certain extent, I guess. A lot of people like that Gargoyles movie, by the way. Hey, we'll watch Disney Princesses. Don't give that rat any ideas. It'll be garbage. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I got. I mean, like I said, I was just going to do a really quick Midnight Express stream with your questions and answers, but I kind of feel strongly, and I don't cover this topic a lot on our weekly show because I said I was going to do that, but like I said, I was inspired by David Film Junkie. If you get a chance, subscribe and like his channel. He was the second ever YouTuber that I subscribed to when it came to this kind of stuff. Chris Wong Swinson was the first one, so I watched his show daily. And he posed a question and answered it in a different way, and his audience answered it a different way earlier this evening. And I just wanted to, I wanted to give my thoughts on it because I couldn't chime in live. I do not think the DC brand is permanently damaged. I think it has been significantly damaged, but that can be turned around. But that is going to, there's two factions that are going to determine whether that happens or not. General audiences connecting with, and having the patience to wait around for 2 years and reconnect with this, and new people connecting with it if that happens, and the bosses. It's up to them. If it doesn't connect with the bosses on a financial level, and they have not been primed by Zaslav and Gunn to be like, this is going to take some time, and if they genuinely didn't buy into that, then we're going to have some problems. But if they were given an explanation and they bought into the fact that we got a lot of scar tissue that we gotta take care of before we get this going, if they bought into that, then he has some time. But what I would like to see is somebody say, okay, if Gunn is our guy, and we're here for the long term, and we know we're going to take it in the balls the first couple of movies or so, the first series of movies or so, but we're committed to this long term, then sign the guy. Somebody needs to come out. He needs to come out, sign the guy to a 7, 8, 9, 10-year contract. And clauses in the contract that say, I get to at least complete this. Because what that tells me that I am not going to be put through what a lot of people were put through and a lot of time wasted. I'm not going to love Superman Legacy, love Batman, whatever, and love the Swamp Thing only because they're not the skyrocketing success that some other franchise is supposed to be. They're going to get pulled from under me again. And that's the problem they're always going to have because they never resolved what came before. I don't need the Snyderverse restored. I don't need Zack Snyder's vision restored. But I need what came before resolved, or I'm always going to have that over my shoulder. I'm never going to trust you as a franchise for a while until I see you go through the mud with me and take some hits with Superman Legacy, possibly take some hits with Batman, Brave and the Bold, whatever you got going on. Then tell me, show me that putting out a good movie is enough. Because right now it's not. But if you were to stick with him and you were to commit to him long term, not just the next couple of years that's left on his contract, I'm talking about he gave us he said a 10-year plan. All right, then I need him under a 10-year contract. Show me that you believe in him if you want me to believe in him. Understand what the mistakes from 2013 to 2017 and from 2017 on have done. Don't be, so oblivious to the effects that has had on the brand, because that's where the damage is done. So show me that making a great movie actually means something again. By committing to the person you have in the captain's chair now. And by following through. Show people that you can give them the next step and you might get their money. Something that the predecessors did not do. You tell me as a fan that you're in for the long haul, and guess what? I'll be in there with you. Absent that commitment, I'm always going to be worried about, because that's the only evidence I have now. I hope I'm wrong. I'm a comic book nerd. I have fun at James Gunn's movies. I have fun at most of these DC movies. But whether the brand has been damaged permanently is a valid question to ask. And my answer is no. But you got some work to do. All right. Oh, you guys are crazy with all this. Batman Begins is not the best. But okay. Yeah. Batman. Okay, so now, all right. So Aztec, see, every time somebody follows the fourth path of darkness, 4,000 path of darkness, I'm going to ban fourth. I'm going to time him out. I'm not going to time out the person he infected. I'm just going to ban fourth. Dropping that bat bomb. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to say, I apparently saying that Matt Reeves' The Batman is the best overall Batman movie is a hot take. I don't think it is. I think it's the most complete Batman movie out there. William, question for the timeline of Reeves' Batman movies. Would it be too soon to introduce Ra's al Ghul? No. But do it right this time, please. I hated the way Nolan did it. I truly hate Ra's al Ghul in that movie. If you read the comics that he's in, and some of read Son of the Beast. I mean, you know, read Contagion. I'm thinking Contagion. Read all these stories. Read some of the red. I mean, read some of the stuff, and you'll see what I mean. I mean, no, I don't think that. I would like to do, and I love Liam Neeson, but that's just not, there's a mutual respect that they have for each other, and I just didn't like the way he was portrayed in that movie. But no, I think it would be fine for him to do Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul fits in the type of thing that Reeves could do too. So does just about anything. The only ones I think that would be tough would be Clayface. Um, but I think that Mr. Freeze could work. It would be a different Mr. Freeze. I think a lot of these characters could work. Obviously, the Penguin worked. So yeah, Ra's al Ghul. He's one of my favorite Batman movies or Batman characters. Um, no, not necessarily true, Azteca, because you could have him in one movie and it would still work. I don't think he needs to be. I don't think he needs to be a continuous enemy. I think you could literally have, or you could have him in the third movie. But I think that Ra's al Ghul would be fine for just one because you're only going to be telling so much story. So I would be all right with him. No, it's Nessie. Yeah, all right, sure, buddy. William had also heard the previous regime is that one of the Bean Counters got involved with creatives because they felt movies were getting over budget and they cut parts of the story. Let's see. Trolling leads to fear, fear leads to the force. Yeah, whatever. All right, guys, that's about it. I'm gonna get out of here, go get my food, and yeah, we were planning on doing a stream tonight, but it was an impromptu stream, just mainly to get that out there. So, like I said, I know I'm going to get some hate in the chat room or in the post. You're just a Snyder bro. No, no. And like I said, I don't think the Snyderverse needs to be restored. I do think that I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. If you started something and you didn't finish it, and you want more money from those people that you sold that last thing to, it's in your best interest to resolve it, to strengthen your case for the next time around. Otherwise, it's roulette. Maybe, maybe not. This is a lot of money to spend on maybes. Let's not act like you secretly wanted Howard the Duck movie. It's your favorite super. You know what? How did you how did you figure it out, man? Was it in the tone of my voice? Resolve, not restore. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've always been resolved the Snyderverse because here's my tagline: resolution or reboot minus resolution equals failure. Reboot minus resolution equals failure. And you can put that somewhere. So, all right, guys, gotta go get some food. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being the best part of this YouTube experience. Please like, subscribe, and share, and bring more people into the conversation that I hope we are all enjoying having. And I have to do it because this is the time of night where those thoughts creep into your mind. Late night, early morning. Good percentages of suicides and bodily harm come in these hours. And right now, I need you all to know that 24/7 call, text, Shack 988. Somebody is there at the other end for you. Don't travel down the road for yourself. Don't look for the end of the road for yourself. Get some help for people who know how to get to the end of that road. The fact that they're going to pick up the phone, the fact that there's a voice at the other end of that line shows you that you could be that person. So 988, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, use it if you need it. All right, guys, I will see you all later on.